background, guys. We just filmed a bunch of stuff and then deleted it. Anyway, today we're talking about fitness. I put a Q&A out on Instagram. You guys sent me your best questions about fitness and health. Ella's going to be reading me your questions, and then we're going to answer them in the most concise manner possible because you can't be here all day. So Ella, let's get into it. First question, what is it?
Yes, it is, how did you get into running?
How did I get into running? Well, traditionally I don't like running. I never have liked running. I really felt this pressure to like it and to be good at it because everyone that's involved in fitness loves to run. They were going on all these long runs. And what I found most frustrating was that when I first went on a run, I was just like heavy breathing. My legs felt like they were made of cement. And I was like, why can't I do this? I have like, my fitness level is up. Like, what's wrong with me? But I realized like, you have to train and build up to become a better runner. I'm still not a good runner, but what I do like is doing more sprint training or more interval training. So the way I kind of built up my running abilities was that I would run for a minute, walk for a minute, run for a minute, walk for a minute, and then I would up it. So I would walk for a minute, run for 2 minutes. And then I would intermittently, like on certain days, be a little bit more forgiving of myself and jog or stop and walk when I needed to. And so that's kind of how I built up my running strength. It is by no means good. My max is like, I think probably a 5K, and I'm like, feel like I can't move for a week. So still not a traditional runner, but it is a really fun thing at the end of a long day when it's nice weather outside to just put the headphones on and go for a run without any pressure. So I would say any advice that I would give would be just, your run doesn't have to look like everyone else's run. Your workouts don't have to look like everyone else's workouts. So just like kind of be forgiving with yourself and understand that everything's a learning process. What's our next question?
It is, what is your go-to workout song at the moment?
What is my go-to workout song? Okay, my go-to is music from the 2000s. I don't know why I have such a deep affinity for it. I mean, clearly the thong song because it's my favorite song of all time. But I mean, there's nothing like running to 50 Cent. Also, recently rediscovered Robin. Amazing. Amazing. Question 3.
How do you deal with plateaus and setbacks?
I think understanding that everyone has them, and that they're a part of the journey and part of life. You can't always be making progress because you would just turn into one big muscle or you disappear. So that can happen. So I think for me, it's like sometimes you go on vacation. Some weeks you're busy, and just accepting that and not getting so stressed. Because I think when we build stress into fitness and a healthy lifestyle, it becomes a burden rather than a joy. So I think just understanding completely that, you need to look at this arc of like health as your life rather than looking at it in a week's time, a month's time, a year's time. And just knowing that this is a cyclical process and we go up and down, and that's just how everything is. And so why would this be anything different? So I think just forgiving yourself for moments where you feel like maybe you're not at your best, but then also really learning how to celebrate when you really are. And I think those things balance it out. Question 3. Ella, what you got for me? Oh, question 4. I can't count. Next Q&A. How to count.
So everyone seems to be against cardio. What's your advice for someone who has quite a bit of fat to lose?
Okay, so this is a common question I get because I think people get really hung up on fat loss or weight loss. And we've been programmed in our society to think like cardio is the way to do that. And I think really, again, I'm not a trainer. I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. I'm not an expert. I can only speak from my experience. But what is amazing is cardio is based on heart rate. So it's about getting your heart rate up. So there's different ways to get cardio in, and you really have to find something that feels really good to you. Not everyone is a runner. Not everyone likes HIIT training. Not everyone wants to be in SoulCycle class. But I think if you find that type of cardio that you can pair with, you know, more like strength and weight training or whatever your choice of thing to do is, I think you can make cardio be a part of your routine, but it not feel like such a burden. Like for me, it was always a burden because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go out and run for an hour. But for me, you know, my cardio is doing HIIT training and then also doing SoulCycle. So I think find what works for you. And cardio surely does speed up fat loss, but you have to understand that also building muscle is a part of kind of burning fat off as well, because when you're building lean muscle, you're actually burning fat during the times that you're not working out. Whereas when you're doing straight cardio, you're burning fat during that time, and you might have a higher caloric burn, but you're not burning all day from that activity. So it's really important to like focus also on muscle. And that doesn't mean you have to become a bodybuilder or anything like that, but making sure that you're not just doing cardio calorie burns to lose fat. There's so many other ways to lose fat other than just straight cardio. So I would say vary your routine, mix in some strength training with whatever you're doing, because if you're strengthening those muscles, when you're doing them during, you know, a run or SoulCycle or whatever, they're going to be strengthened and you're going to be burning more fat over time. So that's what worked for me. Next question.
When you were first starting out, what did your routine look like?
Okay, so in college, I basically went to the college gym, the university gym, and I would just be like so hungover and basically would just like smell like vodka and get on the elliptical for 20 minutes. And I thought that was like an insanely good workout, which clearly it was not. So when I first decided to change my life and lose weight and do all those things, I had no clue about what I wanted to do. I did have an idea that I didn't want to just run for hours. And I definitely didn't want to be doing the elliptical for hours. So what I decided to do was to learn about weightlifting. I'd always been interested in it. I watched my mom when I was little go to the gym and lift weights. And I always was like, that actually seems kind of fun. So what I actually did was, crazily, I have it here and I'll show you. I went to the Brooklyn Library and I checked out this book. And it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, which looks insane. Like, look how big this book is. It's like, but I checked out this book. I did not steal this one from the library. I bought this. But basically it broke down all these different types of movements. So like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but like it breaks down all these movements. Obviously I clearly look like this guy. This book was primarily written for like male bodybuilding because of the time period it was written in. But how I really wanted to learn about fitness was from an approach of weightlifting, because I found it already interesting. So I got this book and I didn't do the program exactly, but I did learn how to weightlift from this book. And I would literally take photos of the pages of this book and then take them to the gym and like secretly in a corner be looking at my phone of like how to do the exercises properly. But this is just like one example of how everyone's health and fitness journey looks different. How you go about it is your own story, is your own, you know, is your own path. And for me, that was my entry to it. And I loved the learning aspect of fitness, and I loved learning how to do the exercises properly because it felt like I was doing something more than just sweating. It was like, I'm expanding my brain. I find this interesting. It was just all of it. It was mind and body. So that's how I got started. And after a long time, I started to incorporate other things like running and classes and different things like that. But really, I spent most of my 2-year time of trying to lose weight and transform my body in front of a mirror at a gym by myself, looking at my phone with like instructions from Arnold Schwarzenegger. Then of course, after a while, I found other resources and I've done a lot of different fitness programs, but that was really how I got started. And it's like seems like forever ago, but I still do some of those moves when I'm lifting at the gym. So all comes full circle.
What do you take for supplements, or do you use pre-workout?
Supplements, pre-workout. You know what? I used to take a pre-workout, but it made me feel like the Hulk, and I did not like the way I felt, and I became really dependent on it, and I would be like, oh no, I forgot my pre-workout, I can't work out today. And I just decided, like, I don't want to be dependent on something to feel like working out. I don't think they're bad. I'm not going to tell you not to take them. I think they're fine. One thing I will say is supplements like pre-workout, all these different things are not regulated. So they don't have as high of a standard as like medicine does or whatever. So I would just be careful in whatever you're taking. Make sure it's reputable. Make sure you've read a lot about it. And really make sure it makes you feel good. I have taken a bunch of different pre-workouts. I've taken the Vega pre-workout energizer, which didn't make me feel jittery or anything like that. But then I've taken things like NO Explode, which made me literally feel like itchy and like I was gonna come out of my clothing. It did give you a good workout, I will say that. But now what I really do is I drink a coffee. I drink a coffee before. It energizes me enough. And then I just make sure I'm hydrating with a lot of water. And I don't take any supplements at this point. Sometimes I'll have protein powder in a smoothie, but that's really on just days that I'm feeling deficient in protein. Two of my favorite proteins that I have used, and I do use, are the Vega protein in the chocolate flavor. So that's a plant protein option if you're into plant protein. The other protein option I use is an Isopure Whey protein, and it has 50 grams of protein per scoop, which is like an insane amount. So if I am gonna do that, that's usually what I'm having. As for glutamine, BCAAs, adaptogens, all of that stuff, honestly, I can't remember to do it. That's just the truth. I can't remember to drink all these things, and honestly, they all taste really bad to me. Usually, if I found one I loved, I might drink it, but for now, I'm kind of like depending on getting most of my nutrients from food and then my energy from coffee. So that's my answer.
How do you stay fit on vacation?
Oh, guys. Being fit on vacation, this is like a question I get all the time because I travel so much, and really like the main mantra about fitness in general, but fitness on vacation, you have to find what fits and don't beat yourself up if your workouts or your eating doesn't look like it does at home. It's not going to. You're not at home. You know, it's like you have to have a more reasonable expectation for yourself. So for me, when I go on vacation, I kind of take in where I am. You know, if I'm at a hotel with a great gym, I can modify my routine. If I'm not, which is a lot of times because most hotel gyms suck, I'll do yoga. If we're by the beach, I'll go for a walk or a run on the beach. One of my most favorite things to do on vacation especially is the first day of my vacation, go on a run, like a slow kind of joggy run where you can kind of stop and you know, see things. But I find that going on a run in a neighborhood or in a city is the best way to see it on foot. So you can kind of do a little bit of your sightseeing and you're kind of like getting a lay of the land, but you're also getting a good workout in. So I would say my number one thing is don't get so hung up on feeling like your routine doesn't look like it does at home, because it's not going to. So I think it's just accepting that, being cool with it, and adapting to where you're at. And then also have fucking fun. You're on vacation. It's fine. Like, you don't need to be so strict. You're not going to undo all of your progress that you've ever done. What are you going to do? Miss 3 days of working out? Great. Relax. Rest. You know, I think people get so hung up on losing progress or setting themselves back. It takes so long to get yourself into a bad place. Think about how long that takes. 3 days off or a week off isn't gonna set you back that much. So enjoy. That's actually my number one tip. Enjoy vacation.
What type of not so healthy food do you crave and how do you combat it? Do you swap for a healthier version?
Always like pizza, nachos, like Mexican food. And I find actually that swapping them for like a healthier option, I don't think that's that fun, and it kind of takes the joy out of the thing. And so I say, if you really want a bad food, or like, I don't even like to use the words bad foods, like a less healthy option, just have it. Just have it and then be done having it for a minute. But like really enjoy it and then, feel satisfied. I think trying to make, oh my God, there's a fly in my head.
They chase us.
There's a fly in my house. It's fine. No, but I think if you are always swapping out a healthy option, you really never feel like your itch gets scratched. So I'd say just enjoy it and then move on. Go back to, a healthy eating plan. Every once in a while, it's fine. And when food becomes either a punishment or a reward, I think you're setting yourself up for disaster. So just enjoy it, enjoy the experience, and then get back to a healthy eating plan. Like cauliflower pizza, for example. I like cauliflower pizza. I think it's a good food. Do I think it, when I eat it, am I like, oh my God, I never have to eat pizza again? No, fuck no. Like, of course I still want to eat pizza. So eat it, move on, and then eat cauliflower pizza the rest of the time, and it's just a different food. Accept that. It's fine.
Do you meditate?
Do I meditate? Okay, guys, I'll be real with you, because like every fitness person is like into meditation. They're really good at it. I suck at meditation. I pretty much always fall asleep, or I end up like coming up with a new business idea. So someone once told me like you can't be bad at meditation, but I'm pretty sure I am. For me, I find other ways to incorporate a spiritual or meditative practice into my life. And so one example of that for me is doing ceramics. And so I love doing ceramics because my hands are like busy. And I think when you're doing something that requires dexterity in your brain and all these things, you tend to shut out a lot of thought and a lot of noise. And so for me, that's my meditation, is doing ceramics or going on a walk or sleeping. But I think what I want to express mostly about meditation or any spiritual practice is you have to find what serves you. It's not going to look like the same for everyone. Some people want to, sit straight up in a chair and like, whatever they do. That's not for me. And you shouldn't feel like what everyone else's practice for calming their brain or clearing their heart has to be what you do. I think you have to find what jives with your mind.
Do you count calories or macros?
I do not. I have at times. It drove me absolutely crazy. If it works for you, great. It does not work for me. I have an understanding of calories, and I have an understanding of like carbohydrates and things like that. I tend to eat a more low carb diet because I feel better. In general, my body just doesn't process carbohydrates very well. Something I've learned over time. Everyone is different. I know people that if they don't eat carbs, they would literally perish. But for me, I feel so much more energized when I eat a low carb, high fat diet. Calories and macros and stuff, I used to use my Fitness Pal, I used to do the whole thing. And honestly, it got to the point where one day I realized I had brought a food scale out with me and I was like weighing food and I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care about this that much. And also I have to trust that I'm intuitive enough to figure it out for myself. And again, if it works for you and you like that sort of stuff, great. Personally, I eat out too much. I don't want to be using an app to count like how many calories are in like the tablespoon of half and half I just use. Like, I just don't want to do that. So I basically know what I need to eat to maintain my body. I'm not trying to lose weight at this point. So I mostly just see how my clothes fit and I can tell what I look like. And I don't stress about it. So that's what works for me.
How do you find motivation?
How do I find motivation? I actually did another video on this. Several of you asked this question. So I actually have a video on my channel and it is all about motivation. So go check that out there.
What does your typical weekly workout schedule look like?
Typical weekly workout schedule looks like 3 days of training with my trainer Oscar at New York Sports Club. We do a mixture of strength and HIIT training. And then I go to SoulCycle probably about three to four times a week. And then I try to mix in some yoga in there and then perhaps a run. I mean, I'm not doing 9 workouts a week, so those things get interchanged, but pretty much the things that are consistent are the workouts with my trainer and SoulCycle.
Which trendy superfood or health food did you try and find horrible?
Oh my gosh, there are so many health foods that are so terrible. I think a lot of them are terrible. But I would say, and I've ranted about this on Instagram before, but kale tastes bad. Like kale chips, and like that's not a chip. It turns into a dust, and it's like, I don't need to like snort my food, you know? It's like, tastes bad. And I don't care how much like nacho flavoring it has, it still tastes bad. And it's not a real chip. Like, if you're like, hey, do you want a kettle chip or a kale chip? They have the same amount of calories. Nobody is picking the kale chip. Nobody likes these. Stop making them. Is that too much? No, I think just so many health foods are in replacement of non-healthy foods, and they just suck in comparison. They just absolutely suck in comparison. Also, I do not like kombucha. I mean, I know people love it. I drank it not too well. Some of them taste fine, but I drank one the other day and there was like this crazy thing at the bottom. I think it's called the Mother. I ate it and I almost vomited right away. On command, I almost threw up because it tasted like I was eating a booger. Someone else's booger that wasn't my booger. And it was foul. Honestly, what is that? I don't like it. I mean, I have had kombucha I liked, but maybe I just didn't eat that part. I don't know. I ate a booger the other day. Disgusting. So yeah, I just think like, you know, I don't want to eat like your pine pollen. I just don't. Pizza's so much better. Tacos are so much better. There's so much better stuff than eating pollen. You know? I'm not a bee. Do bees eat? I think bees make pollen. I don't know. I don't think bees eat. I don't think bees eat pollen. Anyway, I need to apparently study up on my biology. Anyway, next question.
Okay, this is the last question.
Last question, guys.
How do you bounce back after a week or two of not eating clean or working out and after an injury?
Okay, so bouncing back after a week of not working out, week or two, whatever, or if you have an injury. So I kind of mentioned this before, but I want to like reiterate it because I find it really important. If you live a life where you consistently punish yourself for what you're not doing, you will never do. So if you're consistently upset at yourself or beating yourself up for doing something, that practice, those healthy practices will actually never feel very rewarding or fulfilling or actually part of your life, because you're pushing a stone up a hill that, you know, sometimes slides back, and then you're so worried about that sliding back that you're not able to continue. And so you have to understand that your life is a long time and you're going to have moments where you can work out more. There's going to be moments where you can't work out at all, whether that's an injury or you don't fucking feel like it, and that's fine. I think if you punish yourself with food or fitness, you have a long uphill battle. I think understanding that a healthy lifestyle is a life is really important for sticking with it. And also, you don't get so worried about those little slips. You don't even think about it. You know, there have been times where I'm like, okay, I can't work out for 3 or 4 days. And there have been times in my life where I was very stressed about that. And what you don't realize is that stress, when you internalize that stress and you freak out about it, you're actually doing a disservice to your body in general, and your body feels that stress and it can hang on to fat. It can be really bad for sleep. It's just bad in general. So I think if you can manage the anxiety surrounding a healthy lifestyle and just let it go a little bit, it will be much easier to bounce back. You won't feel like, oh my God, I lost years of progress. I have to go, be like a hamster on a treadmill eating celery. Like, no, you just go back to it. You haven't eaten healthy in a week. All right, so eat a healthy next meal. It's not brain surgery. It's not worth it. And also, it doesn't fucking matter. Just get back on the wagon. It's so funny. The question I often get is like, how do I get back on the wagon? It's like, you do. You make tiny decisions every day about how you're going to change your life. And all those tiny decisions make up for big goals. But you don't need to think about the big goals ever. You don't need to think about a huge amount of weight or a body type or a size or any of this shit. You only have to think about, like, am I going to get off my ass right now and go do something? Can I just put my shoes on? Can I do that? Can I just think about lunch? I don't need to think about my eating habits for the next 30 fucking years. I need to think about lunch. What do I want to eat for lunch? Can I make a good decision right now? I think to sum this entire Q&A up, if I could give you one piece of advice about living a healthy lifestyle, it would just be, make it a lifestyle. Learn that this is, a day-to-day thing, and you're not expected to be perfect. And one day does not change the course of your whole life. There's little decisions, and sometimes you choose the pizza, and sometimes you choose a salad. Sometimes you work out, and sometimes you choose rest.